Ayan, good afternoon po everyone and welcome to another free webinar from Uprush. And this afternoon po, we will be discussing about employees' mental health and well-being in the new normal. Ayan po, so medyo marami-rami na po ang nasa ating comment section right now. If you're in our comment section, drop naman po ng note para kayo po ay aming mabati. Ayan, so let's say hi to some of our regulars here in our usual Saturday session po ng ating mga free webinars. We have Miss Kate Armela, good afternoon. Mitch Gomera, good afternoon. Miss Merly Arceo is also here again. Isa po yan sa ating mga regulars, si Miss Merly Arceo. Good afternoon po, Miss Merly. Good afternoon, Miss Emaileen, watching from Tacloban City. I hope you're doing well, Emay. Good afternoon also to Eloisa Sarte. Good afternoon po, watching from Kalawan. And Markian is also saying good day. GM Ramilo is also saying good afternoon, everyone. Miss Esther Marie Guerrero, one of our regulars also here in our Saturday session. Good afternoon, Miss Esther. Good afternoon po, Miss Genevieve Asman from Parañaque City. And we have Graziela Bicomong. Good afternoon. Audrey Maestrado, Meldy Red, and Milary Rino is also saying good afternoon. Melanie actually just came from our session earlier on MS Excel. So we had an MS Excel bootcamp earlier. Hopefully, they were able to pick up a lot of things from our bootcamp. Good afternoon also to Miss Farida, one of our regulars. Buenos dias, Miss Farida Kunanan, watching all the way from Zamboanga City. We also have Jerwin Lalap, Shirel Tapacion, Honey Grace Bere from Parañaque. Good afternoon po sa inyo. And we have Miss Kate Armela, Noemi Laurena Levile. Wish ko lang hindi ko na murder ang pangalan mo. Good afternoon daw from Las Piñas. Mega SDRO, as usual po, yan po ang ating mga inaabangan ng mga regulars po natin each time that we have our Saturday webinar. Ayan. And then, Mr. Alex Ustari. Sir Alex, good afternoon po. Thank you po for gracing us with your presence and for sharing your thoughts last Saturday po. We truly enjoyed having you and Miss Jackie for our session last week. And we also want to say good afternoon to Miss Jani Openya. We have Jason Manuel, good afternoon po. Alan Rasco, good afternoon. We also have, wait lang po. Ang dinis ng pagtaas ng ating mga comment section. Sorry, biglang nawala yung mga hinahayan ko. Okay? So kung nakalimutan ko man po kayo, pasensya na po. Medyo mabilis po kasi yung pasok ng mga nag-good afternoon right now. I am Miss Felicitas Hernandez, Dennis Alvaran, Lovelia Madrigalejo from UP Diliman. We also have Miss Tina Palangka and Camille Loyola. Good afternoon po sa inyong lahat. And then we also have Jerwin Lalap, Rex Aboneja. We also have Miss Melanie Rino, Pablo Catura. We also have Yvonne Terayo, Edna Abeo from Cavite. CJ Ablay from Parañaque. Joel Yos, good afternoon po. Good afternoon po sa inyong lahat. Yung those who are watching us from Facebook groups like the Society for the Advancement of HR, as well as those from the Philippines HR group, please click on the link found on the text section of our video today para po ma-allow po nyo ang StreamYard to capture your name in Facebook. So, streamyard.com/Facebook. Click nyo lang po yun para po makita po namin yung names nyo para hindi po lalabas na Facebook user. Miss Arlene Aguilar is also here right now. Good afternoon. Good afternoon po. We have people from Lapu-Lapu City. Ayan. Wish ko po lahat ay nabati ko na. Kung kayo man po ay nakalimutan kong batiin, mamaya po babatiin po natin kayo. Pero maraming salamat po sa for spending your Saturday again with us. Now, for starting today, tulad nga po ng nasabi namin last time, we would be changing how we're going to handle the certificate. So starting po this afternoon or for this session, ang atin pong certificate for attendance, if you are going to request for it, including the slides and the recording of today's session, will be sent to you after you have answered our quiz. Now the quiz is two-part. The first part is about the codes that we would be flashing on your screen. And the second part is actually questions about the presentation this afternoon. Why are we doing this? This is to ensure that we also give back dun sa time nung kung sino man po yung ating speaker for the day. Siyempre naman, hindi naman kasi siyempre maganda if ang habol lang po natin is yung ending para lang makahingi ng certificate. The speakers that we have for each of our sessions are practitioners, HR practitioners for a long time. These are people, well-respected people in their industry, and these people are spending their time for us. So we need to make sure that we really make it worthwhile for them and for the rest of those who are watching right now. Ayan po. Kaya meron na po tayong exam ngayon bago nyo po makuha ang inyong certificate of attendance, copy of the slides, and recording po. Ayan. So watch out po kayo dun sa um, codes na i-send po natin mamaya. So sa mga nagtatanong po sa certificate, ayan po yung kasagutan. Naka-display din po, nagro-roll din po right now sa screen yung kasagutan po sa inyong mga katanungan. Okay po? Now, bago po natin i-start, para sa mga first time po na umattend ng webinar ng Uprush, we would like to introduce you to our business. Ayan po, para naman po makilala niyo po si Uprush. Sino ba si Uprush? Uprush is an HR solutions and services provider. We do managed recruitment service. We provide managed payroll. We also do in-house and public workshops and webinars, HR consultancy. We also provide HR toolkit. So kung kailangan niyo po ng tulong pagdating po sa policies and procedures, ayan po, pwede po namin kayo matulungan dyan. And we also do salary surveys. We have just recently launched our 2020 salary survey. So if you would like to be part of it, please let us know po para maibigay po namin sa inyo yung link for that one. Okay po? Hi po, good afternoon po. Yung iba po hindi ko po nakikita yung name. So I'm so sorry po pag hindi ko po kayo nababanggit. Okay? For those who would like to help, Cagayan still needs our help right now. So if you would like to donate po, we actually have someone who already donated last week. So probably ipunin lang po namin yon and then we'll do a report by next Saturday po para alam nyo kung saan napunta po inyong mga donations at kung sino-sino po yung mga nag-donate. We are accepting in cash and in kind. If you would like to donate po, please let us know. We'll send you the details. It's already flashed here right now, but if you're having a hard time reading it po, you can reach out to us through our Facebook page or you can send us an email at support@readyrightnow.com. Ayan po. And of course, we would like to encourage everyone to attend our HR Bootcamp Batch 14. What's new about Batch 14? Meron po kaming pakulo right now para po dun sa ating mga fresh graduates. Ano po ba itong pakulo na ito? We're giving away discounts to our students who would like to attend HR Bootcamp. We're going to pick 3 winners na makakakuha po ng discounts na ito. Students and fresh graduates lang po ito. So yung mga wala pa pong experience. Now what happens during HR Bootcamp? During HR Bootcamp po, we would be touching on the 4 major areas in HR, which happens to be talent acquisition, comp and ben, total rewards, labor relations, and learning and development. So yun po yung mga pag-uusapan po during HR Bootcamp. The aim of HR Bootcamp is to provide you with the basic or foundational skills needed in order for you to be more knowledgeable in your work as an HR para sa mga fresh graduates para po pagpasok nyo sa corporate world, may alam na kayo, meron na kayong understanding ng kung paano ba ginagawa ang computations at paano ba paano ba ang talent acquisition, paano ba gumawa ng mga training, paano ang training needs analysis. We will be discussing all of those. Okay po. So ayan po, if you would like to join our HR Bootcamp, kuha lang po ng phone, scan lang po ang QR code that we have here right now. We have also posted the link to our comment section po sa amin pong page. So you can head there po para inyo pong makita ang registration po for HR Bootcamp Batch 14. Wow, we have the first code for the day. So para po dun sa mga uma-attend right now at kung magre-request po kayo ng inyong certificate later on, this is the first code for the day. Okay po? Yan po ang ating first code for the day. Tandaan po natin yan dahil kailangan nyo po yan when you request for the certificate of attendance. Ayan po. If you have already attended any of our HR bootcamp at wala naman kayong balak na mag-affiliate for HR professional na certification, you can join our HR Bootcamp Masterclass Batch 1. happening on December 12 and 19. Kuha lang po, again, ang inyo pong cellphone, scan nyo lang po yung QR code para makapag-register po kayo for the HR Bootcamp class HR Bootcamp Master Class Batch 1. Ayan, nakakalito. Ako mismo ay nalito. If you would like to see previous webinars or previous episodes of our free webinar plus previous episodes po of the HR Bytes, punta lang po tayo dun sa link that we have right now. We would be uploading another HR Byte episode within the next few days po about 13th month pay. So abangan po natin yan. We'll walk you through how to compute the 13th month pay, especially kung kayo po ay merong mga nag-leave ng matagal, naka-floating status, naka-maternity leave, may salary differential, paano yan lahat kino-compute pag kayo po ay magpa-process na for the 13th month pay dahil malapit na po ang deadline for 13th month pay. On or before December 24, dapat po ay nai-release na po yan. Okay po. Now, we also have the basics of employee engagement happening on November 27. Ayan, so kung kayo po ay interesado kung paano po ba, ano po ba ang mga principles, theories behind employee engagement, and how you can use this in order to come up with your own engagement program, attend na po ng basics of employee engagement. Anong pinagkaiba nito sa practical tips on employee engagement? With basics of employee engagement, we'll discuss the foundations po. We'll discuss the theories, the principles, but with the practical tips, we would be focusing more on the hands-on approach na po, given the current situation. Okay po. Ayan. And then also on December 9, we have managing your team's performance. Kung kayo po ay nangangailangan ng tulong on how you can ensure that your team is motivated, that you're able to see who are your talents and make sure that everyone is growing in terms of their career. We can help you po. We can guide you on how to go through it using the different theories that we have when it comes to managing your team. So we'll discuss also paano ba ini-ensure yung performance ng team, ano ba yung cycle when it comes to the creations of team or development of team. Lahat po yan ay i-discuss po natin. Okay? If you want to be a sponsor, let us know po para we can include your videos and we can also tag you in our events para din po mas malaking market po ang ma-reach out nyo, especially if you're an HR solutions and services provider. Ayan po. So, hiningal ako sa ginawa ko. Tuwan-tuwa ako sa ginawa ko. Okay. So, ayan po. Yung ating first code po, naka-display na po. It will be displayed until pumasok po yung speaker. So pag pumasok na po yung speaker, mawawala na po yan. So kopyahin nyo na po kagad yung code na yan para po kayo po ay maka-request po ng certificate mamaya. Isa po yan sa mga codes. Please note also that one of the changes that we would be making is that after this webinar, tatanggalin po namin kagad itong webinar na to. So makikita nyo na po siya, kung gusto nyo po siyang panoorin, sa YouTube nyo na po siya mapapanood, hindi na po dun sa aming Facebook page. Okay? So kailangan nyo po talagang makinig, manood maigi para makuha nyo po yung mga codes natin right now. Ayan po. Okay, so ito pong afternoon na ito ay paano ko ba i-describe? Napaka ganda para sa akin kasi po, yung speaker natin for this afternoon is someone that I consider a friend actually. Okay? Siya po ay schoolmate ko po siya sa Masteral and I've had the privilege of having studied with him side by side para po sa aming Masteral. Unfortunately, siya po natapos niya yung Masteral. Ako po ay hindi ko po natapos ang aking thesis. Nagkatamaran na hanggang first 3 chapters na lang po yung aking na-defend. Hindi ko na siya natapos. And then, work got in the way. A lot of things happened. Kaya hindi ko na rin siya naituloy. But we are actually schoolmates when we were in Masteral. And kami yun talaga magkakasama noon. We were hoping to finish it together. Kaso, wala. Tinamad ako, si Jojo lang ang nakapagtapos ng kanyang Masteral. Okay. So who is Jojo Tandoc? Jojo is actually a coach, a psychologist, an HR practitioner, and a learning advocate. Ayan po. He actually has a very colorful HR experience. He is a licensed psychologist and psychometrician by the PRC, or the Professional Regulatory Commission, and was a certified IO psychologist, or industrial organizational psychologist, by the Psychological Association of the Philippines. He's also a certified Goldsmith, executive and team coach, and a certified global coach by the Global Coach Group. He is a fellow of PMAP, People Management Association of the Philippines, and a seasoned HR and OD practitioner. He has received a number of accolades in his HR practice as one of the leading practitioners in the country, and an invitation as a speaker and resource person in his field of expertise. Coach Jojo is one of the directors of the Gray Matter Psychological and Consultancy Incorporated, one of the leading psychological service providers in the Philippines, which has office in Alabang and Makati. He is the chief psychologist for the industrial and organizational practice of the Gray Matter Psychological and Consultancy Incorporated. And with that, I am very proud to introduce to you our speaker for the day, my very good friend, Jojo Tando. Hello, Jojo. How are you? Actually, hindi ka namin marinig right now.
Ayan, ayan.
We
Rinig na
can't
ba?
hear you. Ayan.
Ayan.
Yes, rinig
Magandang
na.
hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, Rona. It's nice to see you and hear you once again after a long time.
Oo nga eh. Ang tagal na natin hindi nakikita.
Yeah, busy
Ayan.
days, and given the situation, medyo
Yes.
iba din yung situation ngayon because of the pandemic. But I hope to see you soon and chat with you once again.
Ay, yes, oo naman. Gagawin natin yan once the pandemic is over. But for now, Jo, I'll give you the floor para you can do na po your presentation.
Yeah, I'm just having some technical problem, Ron. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sharing my screen, but my screen was set to be blocked.
Okay. Sige, sige. Wait, let me check if I can share the one that I have instead. Okay ba sa'yo yun?
Yeah, yeah, please. Yeah, it
Oo.
was blocked by,
Para,
I don't know, by the site eh.
kaya. Bakit kaya? Okay, let me just adjust itong ating show hide. Uh, full screen mode. Ayan. Okay. And,
Anyway, while you are checking out the
ayan.
slides, Rona, magandang hapon po sa lahat ng tagapanood at tagapakinig dito sa show ni Rona. I'd like to congratulate you, Rona, for this one. My topic is about employees' mental health and well-being, understanding the ins and outs. When we talk about employees' mental health and well-being, uh, dalawa po itong punto na ito. Pag-usapan muna natin yung mental health. At pag nag-usapan natin yung mental health, i-focus po natin sa punto na ang ating pag-uusapan ay yung mental health ng mga manggagawa or the employees. So, tapos pag pinag-usapan natin yung well-being, ang focus din pa rin natin ay yung well-being ng mga manggagawa. Ng mga manggagawa katulad natin, I'm also a worker of a particular organization, of a particular company. So ano nga ba ang well-being? So let's focus first on mental health. Rons? Yeah. So when we talk about mental health, this refers to the state of psychological, cognitive, emotional, behavioral, and social well-being. This was defined by the World Health Organization. Uh, Psychological state of our mind, state of our mental well-being. Kumusta ba siya? So, kumusta ba ang ating mga pag-iisip? Kumusta din ba ang ating emosyon? So when we talk about our emotions, our feelings, kumusta rin ba yung quality of our cognition, quality of our thoughts, quality of our of the things that we think about, and the quality of our social well-being, the way we deal with other people, the way we deal with our families, relatives, the way we deal with our co-workers, the way we deal with our friends and relationships. So, yung mental health na pinag-uusapan natin ngayon deals about our total personality. Why? Because whatever we think, whatever emotions that we felt, whatever behaviors that we exhibit, whatever relationships that we work on with our friends, relatives, and families, these are all products of our thoughts. These are all products of our mental well-being. So, given this, let me focus on the next slide, please. So, survey says, pag pinag-usapan natin yung mga mental health ng mga manggagawa, 64% of employees describe their jobs as stressful. Totoo ba? I know I would say if I make a survey right now of all the listeners in the show, I'm sure people will agree with me that their jobs right now are very stressful, especially those in HR work. And 52% are saying were saying that they believe their mental health interfered with their work. Do you agree or not? Yes, because yung ating mga trabaho, whatever kinds of job or whatever kind of jobs we have, it requires mental health. It requires thinking processes. Therefore, kung hindi maayos yung ating mental health, this will impact the way we do things. This will impact the way we interact with people in the organization. This will impact the way we deal with our bosses. This will impact the way we look at our jobs and our work. So, if you look at yung nasa taas, ang laki ng impact ng mental health sa ating trabaho. And 24% of the participants in the survey are saying they're having panic attack at work, especially when they are stressed and when they are pressured to deliver their outputs. Do you agree that you are also experiencing panic attacks? Yun yung naninervyos kayo. Ito yung pinapawisan kayo. Ito yung bigla kayong nagiging magugulatin. These are symptoms na kakaroon tayo ng panic attack because kailangan natin ma-deliver yung output or else our boss will get angry at us. And 41% of the participants in the survey have been diagnosed with a mental health issue. It's very true that given this pandemic, mental health is very critical, and that as a mental health professional or as a psychologist with the PRC, I am advocating all organizations to have number one, a mental health policy, and number two, a mental health programs for their employees. So given this survey results, what are we going to do? Ano ba dapat nating gawin? Next slide, please. So, employees believe employers should play a role in supporting their mental health. Do you agree with that? Employees should be able to support the mental health of their workers given the results of the survey because this will impact their employees' productivity. This will impact their employees' work. This will impact their employees' behaviors in the organization. So, looking at the results of this particular survey, 96% are agreeing that mental health is as important as physical health. Do you agree? Why? Because if ganun kataas yun 96%. Because employees who have problems with their mental health will not be able to do their jobs well, will not be able to produce quality of work, will not be able to uh, deal with their coworkers, deal with their bosses, deal with their clients very well, and they will not be able to produce output. So, importante yung mga organizations to support their workers for their mental health. Second, 88% believe employers have a responsibility to support their employees' overall mental health. Given the law in the Philippines on mental health, I suppose that most of those who are here have their mental health policies already in place and have their employee assistance programs in place in their respective organizations. If you have your policies, then you must also have your programs that are being implemented last year kasi last year yun napirmahan. So dapat by this year ini-implement na rin yung mga mental health programs. And also, sabi nga natin, given the new normal, importante that our mental health programs are already in place because we need to be able to connect our workers to ensure that they are having a sound mental health. Otherwise, this will impact their productivity, which will redound to the performance of the organization. Employees also require mental health support. The most common issues that negatively affecting mental health were number one, based on the survey, 50% are saying emotional issues. So, especially sa mga Pinoy, very emotional ang mga Pinoy. So, konting problema lang sa kanilang mga bosses, nasigawan sila, napagsabihan sila, emotional yan. Masama ang loob ng mga yan. Hindi na papasok yung kinaumagahan. So we need to be able to manage those emotional issues of our employees. Second, kapag nagkaroon ng relationship issues yung empleyado sa kanilang family, sa kanilang asawa, sa kanilang mga magulang, or sa kanilang loved ones or special someone, emotional yan. At kapag pumasok sa opisina, hindi po siya makapag-focus sa trabaho niya. That's also a mental health issue. Second, 45% of the employees are having some financial troubles. If employees have financial troubles, this will impact their mental health as well. So tingnan po natin yung pananaw na kaya nga bilang mga HR practitioner, sinasabihan natin yung kailangan malawak yung ating pananaw as HR practitioner na tignan yung manggagawa on their overall well-being. And part of this is financial well-being. So tingnan po natin, because kapag hindi maayos kung kulang yung sweldo, kung ang neto ng empleyado ay napakababa na, so pag uwi niya sa bahay, mag-aaway sila ng kanyang misis, o mag-aaway sila ng kanyang family, o ng kanyang relatives. So, dahil iisipin nyo ng tao, magkakaroon siya ng anxiety, magkakaroon siya ng emotional disturbance, magkakaroon siya ng mental health issues. Pagpasok niya sa opisina, wala siyang focus. Utusan mo siya as if physically present but mentally absent. Pagkalabas ng kanyang output, hindi maayos yung kanyang output. So, tignan po natin yung mga ganung pananaw. So, the survey is saying that employees must be supported not only emotionally but also financially. Interpersonal relations is the third highest. Mental health issues, wherein employees were having problems with their bosses, with their co-workers, and also with their loved ones. And fourth, 18%, bullying and harassment. The Philippines has come up with safe spaces law already. Meron na tayong ganong batas. And this is to protect, and meron na rin tayong anti-bullying law. This is to protect people from their safe spaces. and to make sure that organizations has to come up with the programs. The Department of Labor came up with labor advisories and department orders to ensure that organizations or companies have this in their respective programs. So, bullying and harassment are not just physical issues. These are also mental health issues, especially yung mga co-workers that are bullying a new employee in the organization. Madalas yan, kapag may bagong empleyado, gustong pagtripan ng mga old employees in the organization. To a point that sometimes it's not intentional. Pero because of the insensitivity of some employees, naapektuhan yung mental health ng bagong empleyado. Kaya nga as HR practitioners during our onboarding session, we have to clearly state na we have a anti-bullying policy. We have to make sure that the employee is aware also of our anti-harassment policies, because this will equip them and provide them with the necessary information as they go on as they navigate themselves in the new organization. Importante yan, because we need to make sure that the mental health of the new worker in the organization is healthy. Otherwise, aalis ka agad yung empleyado na yon. At sasabihin niya, hindi ako naka-adapt sa organization, hindi ako culture fit sa organization na ito. Also, the survey is saying that 42% diagnosed with mental health disorder needs to have a health provider or a professional that would help him or her out to be able to cope up with the problems. Kasi karamihan dito sa magiging top diagnosis nito ay depression, nakakaroon ng depression yung manggagawa, nakakaroon ng anxiety or panic disorder, at nakakaroon din siya ng sleeping disorder including insomnia. So, for HR practitioners, for the bosses who are here right now listening, please check out your employees, check out your staff. If they're having some issues, like malungkutin sila, pag napansin nyo, bigla na lang silang umiiyak dyan sa tabi without any reason at all, or without telling you any reason at all, or bigla silang aligaga, or bigla silang tumatawa ng sobrang lakas na nakakakuha ng atensyon ng mga ibang tao, or pag dating nila umaga ay pulang-pula yung mata nila at hindi nakatulog. So check them out. These are symptoms, these are signs that the employees or that the employee or the staff under you are having some mental health issues. As their immediate superior, it is our responsibility to make sure that the employee is checked out para lang we will be able to connect with them, to assess them on how they are doing. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned earlier, these are the signs of mental health. Yung kanilang productivity nagde-decline, yung kanilang mood, pabago-bago. Minsan tatawa, minsan iiyak, yung mga empleyadong hindi nalilate sa work or nawawala sa work ng matagal, or yung mga pagpasok amoy chiko, or bigla na lang nagkaroon ng dati sobrang taba niya, or bigla na lang nagkaroon ng weight changes. Because these mental health issues affect the employee's productivity, lagi siyang absent, and ito yung pinakamahirap, employee turnover. So, what do we do now? Next slide, please. So, why is mental health important to employers? What do we do now as employer of the organization to make sure that the employees are well taken care of? Because bakit ba, ang question palagi, bakit ba ang HR, kailangan pa niyang tingnan yung mental health ng manggagawa? Bakit ba ang HR o ang kumpanya pangalagaan pa niya yung mental health ng ng empleyado? We have already established early on this session that the mental health of the employees are very important to the organization because based on this slide, one, it affects the productivity of the business. If the employee is not motivated, if the employee is having some depressive issues, if the employee is having some mental health issues, of course, magdi-decrease yung kanyang productivity. Magdi-decrease yung kanyang productivity because the employee performance is also affected. So kung gusto natin tumaas yung performance ng empleyado, so we need to make sure that the mental health of the worker or of the employee is well. Also, this will boost employee staff morale. For most organizations, they've been doing some employee assistance programs. Now, because of these programs, it impacts the morale of the employee, that it increases the productivity of the worker. This is the employee mental health or employee assistance programs or EAP will also promote employee engagement. So, yung employee engagement na yon ay magiging maayos kapag yung mga, remember, engagement is a process wherein we establish connection, emotional connection between the worker and the organization, between the worker and the immediate superior. So having these programs in place will promote employee engagement. And if the employee is well taken care of, employee will feel motivated. They will have good. They will be loyal to the organization, and sasabihin niya, I love my job. And this will also reflect on the reputation of the organization. A happy worker means less turnover, and for the organization, for HR, less turnover, less training, at walang masyadong gastusin sa recruitment. And if we have a happy worker, this will also lessen the sick leave of employees kasi maayos yung mental health niya. Wala siyang anxiety. Pag maayos ang anxiety niya, this will also impact their physical health. So, a healthy workforce will also demonstrate the corporate responsibility of the organization to their employees, and this will also prevent absenteeism. I saw some comments there, but I would like to address those comments later on regarding legislation about mental health. There is a legislation already on mental health. And sana nga yung lahat ng mga organization are already implementing these policies and programs in their respective organizations. Next slide, please. So, what are the effective steps that can help you protect your employees' mental health? Number one, since we already established that mental health is very important to the organization, ano ba yung dapat gawin ngayon ng mga employer? Number one is to create a healthy and positive workplace environment. How do you create a positive and healthy workplace environment? As workers in the organization, importanteng tingnan natin that we need to work with people. And working with people means we need to make sure that all of our managers, all of our supervisors are aware of our policies, are aware of our programs, so that they will be able to support it and engage their respective team members. Usually, ang HR gumagawa ng policies, gumagawa ng mga programs, but sometimes HR lang yung promotor. Kailangan doon sa advocacy on mental health in the organization or mental health at the workplace. Importante that the managers, the supervisors, the executives are properly oriented, engaged, so that they will be able to support these programs and implement it as well in their respective departments or teams. Because ang HR, hindi naman niya kayang bantayan lahat. Hindi niya kayang ipulis lahat ng mga pangyayari. So by working with the management team, maari mas magiging effective yung healthy and positive workplace environment sapagkat sila yung naka-frontline. Now, the second step in making sure that we were able to, as employers, come up with the programs is to understand the human needs of the employees. And understanding the human needs of the employees, unlike before, simple lang. Ngayon, very complicated na siya because of the generational workforce. The generational work, actually meron na tayo mga 5 generations ngayon in the organizations. The digital workforce are now coming in. So as HR, this will require a lot of us of understanding the different needs of the different generational workforce. Yung mga baby boomers, pa-retire na, but they still have their needs. Especially kung pa-retire na sila, issue na nila ngayon yung kanilang retirement and displacement from the organization. And this will also impact their mental health. Now, for the generation X and Y, ito yung mga empleyado ngayon who are at the helm of the organization. They are now the leaders of the organization. The pressures and the tension are with them. Given the pandemic, kailangan suportahan natin yung human needs nitong mga generation X and Y. Kailangan nila ng people who will listen to them. People whom they can go to when they feel depressed, when the stress is too much. Organizations or professionals that they can work with during this time of crisis. So importante that we understand the human needs also of the current leaders. Also, the millennials. The millennials are now part of the organization, and they are the new breeds of the management team. The millennials have been misunderstood for a long time. But what they only wanted to do is for them to be heard, for them to be listened to, for them to serve their purpose, to have their mission and in the organization. And as millennials, kailangan as an HR practitioners, as bosses, kailangan po nating tingnan yung human needs nitong mga millennial workers na to. They wanted to be part of the bigger whole, the bigger picture, so that they'll be able to do their role very well. So as HR practitioner, we should be able to put into perspective that these millennials understood the bigger picture, understood the bigger plan, the grand plan of the organization, so that they'll be able to support the organization. And at the same time, that need of them to have a purpose in the organization will be fulfilled. Otherwise, these people, ito yung mga maghuhurabintado at iiwanan na lang kayo because they don't see their purpose in the organization. They don't see their mission. They don't see the importance of their role in the organization. So this also impacts their mental health. And that's the reason why these millennials move from one job to another. Because If they can't find their purpose in the organization, if they can't find their mission in the organization, then what's the point of staying in that organization? So let us not misunderstood them. Let us understand them, understand their needs, and turn it as an opportunity for them, for us HR practitioners, for the organization to work with them towards the objective of the organization. Crafting your employee assistance program is a thing that I've been mentioning earlier. Under the law, under Republic Act 11063, correct me if I'm wrong, at 11036, tama ako, RA 11036, or the Mental Health Act, kailangan yung mga organization must have their employee assistance programs in their respective organizations. When we talk about employee assistance programs, ito yung mga maaaring partnership with a psychological center, having a psychologist in the organization, creating programs that will creating more awareness about mental health, creating more activities to support the mental health of the employees. So, requirement po ito under RA 11036 or the Mental Health Act. So, given this, importante po na uh, yung mga HR gumawa ng policy and programs because this is already part of the Department of Labor checklist, inspection checklist. Also, maintain a healthy work-life balance. And maintaining a healthy work-life balance requires understanding different roles of the employees. Remember, when the employee is at work, ang role niya dyan ay worker, kung boss siya, manager, or executive. At the same time, may role din siya outside of the organization as a family person, as a father, as a mother, as a sibling, and as a child. Given those different roles that the employee has to fulfill in this society, kailangan suportahan natin yung mga roles na yon at intindihin natin kung paano makakaroon ng balance in terms of work schedules, in terms of activities. Yung mga boss, intindi naman natin na yung empleyado natin has to go home after office hours kasi pagkatapos nila magtrabaho, meron as a mother or as a father, kailangan pagturuan yung mga anak nila pag uwi nila ng bahay. And kung minsan uh, yung mga nanay dyan, they still have to go to the supermarket, buy some food, and cook their food, and teach their child or children at home for their assignments. So, given this, kailangan supportan po natin yung mental health ng mga empleyado by coming up with a healthy work schedule. Yung work schedule na yon ay kailangan medyo flexible para sa mga manggagawa natin. Lalo na yung mga bagong panganak na mga babae. Hindi dahil may 60 days sila na hindi dahil meron na silang 109 days or sometimes 120 days nga ba na leave ay okay na 'yon. Kailangan na silang magtrabaho dahil pumasok na sa opisina. Hindi po pwedeng gano'n. Kailangan isipin din natin na may mga responsibilities itong mga magulang na ito, itong mga manggagawa na ito pag uwi nila ng kanilang bahay. And the last key is communication. At the end of it all, what we are saying in terms of making sure that the mental health is well taken care of is to communicate with your employees. Next slide, please. Now, There are 30 things that you will see and hear in a mental health friendly workplace. But at the end of the day, ang ibig lang sabihin niyan ng 30 things about mental health, masyado maliit na yung slide dyan. But ang ibig lang sabihin ng 30 things na yan ay make sure that the employees or that the worker is being asked about how is the worker feeling, nag-invest siya doon sa staff, sa well-being ng staff. Is there anything that you can do to help the co-worker or the employee? And is there a workshop about mental health? Or did you come up with programs and activities that supports the mental health of the workers? And there's a need to create that advocacy in the organization. And one important thing, thank your coworkers, thank your staff when doing when they are able to complete the job that you ask them to do. Thank your staff when they are able to come to work on time or earlier. Thank your coworkers when they're able to do one good deed for the organization. It matters. It matters to their mental health. It matters to their emotional well-being. It matters to their ego. It matters to their professional well-being. At the end of the day, despite the the push and the narrative I was saying early on that the workers must be supported by the employer in terms of their mental health. Our mental health is our personal responsibility and no one else. Meaning, we will uh, we will have to make sure that our mental health is well taken care of because it is our body, it is our mind, it is us, not anyone else. So kapag we're having sa emotional problems, even if we go to a mental health professional, at the end of the day, sasabihin sa atin ng mental health professional, you have to work with yourself to make sure that you achieve a good mental health. Otherwise, no matter what we say as psychologists, no matter what we do as psychologists or for the psychiatrists, no matter what they do, it will all depend on you as an individual to make sure that your mental health is well taken care of. In a movie na gusto-gusto ko, I think yung movie na yon, uh, Princess Diaries ata yung title, sinabi, no one can hurt you without your consent. Remember that. No one can hurt you without your consent. Next slide, please. So, given this, in order to have a positive mental health toolkit, we have to notice one is we should have a problem solving skills. We should always take note of the good things in life, build self awareness, use flexible and accurate thinking skills, and you should have a good positive coping strategies. And we should have good social skills, seek assistance from others if there's a need to, or if we cannot handle our situation. We must also set and achieve achievable goals. And lastly, let's be kind to ourselves and others. So, talking about mental health now, let's focus now on mental on well-being. Next slide, please. Well-being has different dimensions. Uh, the dimensions of well-being are physical, emotional, financial, social, occupational, spiritual, intellectual, and environmental. Given these different dimensions of well-being, as a worker, again, our focus in this topic is about the well-being of the worker. Question is, pinangangalagaan ba? Are we looking at our workers holistically? Are we looking at our workers as a human being? If we look into the different dimensions of well-being, isa na naman ang punto niyan eh, that we are dealing with human beings. So as an HR practitioner, an organization development practitioner, or as a boss or an entrepreneur, we should always look at the well-being of an individual and look at them as human being to be able to effectively craft programs that will ensure that these are taken care of. Next slide, please. So, when we talk about physical well-being, do we have programs for nutrition, energy, body, vitality, exercises, or alcohol or smoking programs that will support employees' activities or employees' issues and concern? In terms of social relationships, belongingness, social awareness, gratitude, support, and discrimination. Do we have this supported in terms of policies and programs in the organization? Kaya sabi ko kanina about bullying, about sexual harassment. Do we involve our employees in corporate social responsibility programs? Right now, during the pandemic, do we involve our organizations in making sure that awareness is created about COVID-19 and its effect and impact into the society, into the organization, and into the individual? Do we create programs for belongingness? I mean, staying connected with our employees despite the uh, distance, despite having work from home programs. So, do we build on relationships? Emotional. Employees are get stressed these days. Do we uh, advocate positive emotions? Hindi ba natin masyadong ini-stress yung mga manggagawa by demanding so much kasi naka-work from home sila? Alam nyo, ito yung discourse. There's a discourse already na dahil naka-work yung empleyado, okay, control mo na yung oras. Wala na yung oras na, 8 to 5 lang yung trabaho, mamaya huwag kang manghihingi ng output ng alas 6, alas 7, alas 8 ng gabi. So, we also have to consider the stress and the life of the employee outside of the work. Remember, when we are protecting the mental well-being and of the employees, given that the employee who is doing work from home has to set aside a space for their work and a space for their personal life. Nawawala na ngayon yung space na yun, yung delineation ng space na yun of personal life and professional life. But what we are saying as professionals, what we are saying as psychologists, even if employees are working from home, please, we also have to consider that they are now setting a space for their professional life and they are now setting space for their personal life. So kapag 8 to 5 yung ating work schedule, ganun din po yung trabaho nila sa bahay. Kahit naka-work from home sila. So, gigising sila, ayusin nila yung sarili nila, papasok sila doon sa workspace nila for their work. So as employees, as workers, for all of you who are listening right now, when we talk about work from home, always set aside a working space for work. And when you are done with that, during your office hours, during your work time, let that be in that area. Kailangan meron tayong mindfulness to make sure that we set that aside and shift our paradigm to that of our personal life. So magandang pinag-uusapan yung unang topic natin about mental health, and now we are transitioning to a holistic perspective about well-being. Optimism. Given the situation right now, we have to be positive about things. We have to think more objectively optimistic about things. Kung alam natin na medyo yung kumpanyang pinapasukan natin are having some troubles, let's work with them. Let's support our company. Yung mga demands natin, i-de-escalate natin sa ngayon because also the business has to survive in order for us to retain our employment, in order for the company to support our salaries, benefits, and wages. Hindi pwede pong yung demands natin, hingi lang tayo na hingi. Remember, the company is also having some hard time during this crisis. And importante that uh, yung mga may-ari ng kumpanya, ano din yan, stress din yan. So tayo, we work with them to support the organization, to support the survival of the company. And that brings us to the point of resiliency and self-efficacy. Uh, Maraming mga natamaan ng flood because of the recent typhoon Ulysses. Yung mga taga Marikina, taga Cagayan, taga Rizal. Yes, we've been talking about resiliency. This has been a buzzword in most discourse right now in social media and in the television, and even the artists are having some discourse about resiliency. The point right now is resiliency is a mental state, and given that we should be able to think more positive thoughts and move forward so that we can do something productive and get away with our current situation. That makes us resilient. The point right now of this particular topic in terms of well-being of the workers is that uh, yung mga ibang mga gawa are lost jobs, but I would like to tell them not to lose hope because there are a lot of opportunities out there that you can do, and consider being an entrepreneur based from the knowledge and skills that you have gained uh, during your tenure of employment. And you can only do that when you are being self-aware and you have mindfulness about things that goes to your way. Like you have undergone trainings about communication. You have undergone trainings about coming up with soap making, yung mga ganun ba, or perfume making. Now is that best time that you can make use of all these skills that you have learned, and and make a productive output out of it. Compassion and life satisfaction. Uh, Compassion. This is I would say this is required right now to be compassionate with each other. Do not be bullies. Do not bully your coworker. Do not bully your friends because you do not know what they are currently experiencing. You do not know what they're currently uh, facing right now. So ingat-ingat tayo sa punto na ito. Let's be mindful and compassion, and let's be satisfied with a simple life. If you live in a simple life, things will not be complicated. Financially, given the situation, we have as early as now, where people were talking about financial freedom. But talking about financial freedom, it requires mindful management of our money, mindful management of our salaries. Kapag nakatanggap tayo ng sweldo, wag po natin ubusin. Isang bagay lang yon. Set aside everything. My recent post in my Facebook is about retirement. And retirement, dapat hindi natin isipin yon when we are near 60 years old or when we are near 65 years old. As early as now, or as early as the time that we are earning our salaries, let's think about retirement and financial freedom. Kasi po, it takes some time na makaipon tayo, and it takes some time para yung pera na ipon natin will multiply and uh, and support us for our retirement. So, talking about financial freedom in the future, ang dami pong mga opportunities right now. Kung may pera po tayo na ipon, i-invest po natin sa mga negosyo na alam po nating uh, stable at makakatulong sa atin in the future. There are a lot of co-ownership programs right now. Make sure that when you invest in this co-ownership, make sure that, kasi ito yung passive income eh, make sure that it's stable. Take note of their organizations that you are investing your money. Do a due diligence. Security also, well, security in terms of financial freedom is making sure that we have money in the future that we can make use of when we needed to buy something or support us for our medicines or medical situation. So, yung mga bangko ngayon, aside from the money market, let's invest in stocks, let's invest in time deposit, let's invest in insurance. Yung insurance po ngayon, iba-iba po ang kanilang mga products. Think about investment with a life insurance rider. Hardships and support, uh, sabi nga po nila, hindi naman lahat naman ng bagay mahirap eh. Walang madali. Let's just make sure that we get out of the situation and rise from it. And literacy. At the end of the day, when I talk about financials, when we talk about financial freedom, the key element is literacy. We have to be literate. And literacy means we have to study, engage ourselves in learning the product or investments so that we know what to do in our investments. Career. When we talk about career, it boils down to a sense of purpose. The idea of engaging ourselves to that career means uh, commitment, means emotional attachment, because this will bring about sense of purpose. This will bring about job satisfaction in what we do. And when we are satisfied, when we have a sense of purpose, when we are highly engaged, then our performance will be better. And hindi yung hinuhugot natin yung paa natin para pumasok. We will always be excited to go to work, to report for work, to do our job, and that will reduce absenteeism, and that will propagate presenteeism, and communication and leadership support will be available in the organization. Take note, communication in the well-being of an individual is very critical. When you see an individual not having na umiiyak or very sad or depressed, communicate. Communicate means hindi lang kailangan kausapin mo yung tao. Maaring just assure that person that you will always be there to give a support if she or he needed some help or someone to listen to. Support, you are there to support him or her. Especially for the leaders, I am advocating this in my practice that the leaders must be able to engage their workers. The leader must be able to talk to their employees, to talk to their staff about how they are doing, or what are the issues that they are encountering, so that mayroon pang ganong personal touch yung mga leaders with their staff. Next slide, please. So, why do we focus on well-being? Why employers are focused on well-being? At the end of the day, ang sinasabi lang ng slides na to that employers should assist should think about, to be mindful about the employees' well-being, because this impacts their productivity, this impacts the success of the team, this impacts working together of the team, and this will impact business goals and the targets. Now, as we all know, and as studies have proven a lot of times, employees are the driving force behind the success of the business. Talent management is very critical. employees really do have the power to make or break the business. Do you agree or not? So, given that perspective, next slide, please. How do you connect, take notice, and give to the workers? Connect, again, uh, without being redundant. You have to connect with your people, talk and listen to them, feel connected with them. Give them your time, your words, and your presence, because this is very important as a leader in the organization. And you have to remember the simple things that you give, and that is giving joy to your co-workers. And we have to keep learning, embrace new things, embrace new opportunities. See opportunities in the situation, in the pandemic. See opportunities. Alam niyo, sinasabi namin ngayon, this pandemic has been our chief transformation officer, our chief digital transformation officer. We fast track our digital transformation because of this pandemic, and we're shifting our paradigms. We're shifting our process in a more digital ways and methods and processes. Kasi yun na po yung kailangan eh. And we should also be active, do what you can, enjoy what you do, and move your mood. Because at the end of the day, uh, in order for us to become better at what we do, in order to be us to improve our well-being, we should enjoy what we are doing. If we don't enjoy what we are doing, if we are not happy anymore, then it's time to move on and look for other opportunities. Next slide, please. So, what ano bang kailangan gawin ni HR ngayon? Ito. Because meron tatawag na virtual well-being support. Alam naman natin na marami na all of us are doing training programs via Facebook, like what we're doing right now. Trainings are conducted via Zoom, WebEx, and whatever platforms. Meetings are conducted as well through these digital platforms. How do we support the well-being now virtually of the workforce? In terms of career well-being, we have to do coaching, online training and development, virtual inductions or virtual orientation, and online appraisals. Diba? Very applicable ngayong panahon na ito. Online appraisals. Well, for some progressive organizations, they're doing, they have done away with appraisals. They're not doing appraisals, but they are doing conversations or performance conversations. Kamustahan performance. Ganun yung ginagawa ng ibang mga organizations. Wala na yung paper and pencil na evaluations. In our case right now, we're doing our performance evaluation. Though we still maintain the current format, but slowly we're transitioning it to a kamustahan performance. Financial well-being, one-on-one phone advice. So yung mga mag-only text, only call na tayo, one-on-one phone advice is very applicable during this pandemic or during this time. Tax, pension, and investments. Tingnan po natin yon sa HR if we can do pension and investments, financial wellness orientation to our employees, family protection, insurances, workshops, not only for the employees but also for their family. Kasi kailangan supportive yan eh. Hindi pwedeng yung tatay lang, hindi pwedeng yung nanay lang. Kailangan sabay sila in order to maging effective yung financial programs natin. Also, salary sacrifice, staff benefits, and discounts. If we are a commercial organization, employee discount is something that we can look at. Staff benefits, let's check on the medical benefits right now. Revisit our medical health programs. Salary sacrifice, sometimes we have to redo our budgets. Medyo magbabawas tayo and mag-inbook tayo for our future requirements. Also, emotional well-being. employee assistance program, sinasabi ko na po kanina. Tapos, feeling safe while home working. Yung ibang mga kumpanya, they are supporting their employees by coming up with a load allowance or internet allowance or laptop allowance or loads. Mga ganun ba? Mental health first aid learning workshops. We're doing that, mental health first aid learning workshops. There are mental health professionals doing the mental health first aid workshops. My company, Gray Matters, is doing that. Project support to become mindful or employer. I think Uprush is also doing project support for the employees. Physical well-being, gym, ito yung mga assessment, home exercises, self-risk assessments, marami makakuha ganun sa internet. Also, coming up with healthy work habits or healthy recipes. Meron, yung ibang organizations, meron sila every Friday usapan or kamustahan. They do that. They also do chair yoga every Friday, ganyan. And virtual classes. Also, psychological well-being of the employees. Ito yung mga organizations, they partner with mental health organization like Gray Matters or any with Philippine Mental Health Association. Tapos, they come up with the programs, regular programs about mental health. Also about mindfulness techniques, coaching, phone calls, time to change virtual team breaks, yung mga, syempre kung may physical break, meron din mental health break. Project support to become a time to change employer or a agent of change employer. Also, social well-being. Yun nga, there are a lot of platforms that are available. Zoom, WebEx, whatever platforms. I'm not advertising this platform, pero whatever platforms you have, make use of it to connect with your people, to connect with your team members, to facilitate communication and to facilitate uh, engagement. Next slide, please. And some suggestions for employee well-being, additional suggestions. Magkaroon kayo ng free health check. I think for some health provider ngayon, meron ng online or phone call. Meron na silang, if you are afraid going to the hospital because of the situation, meron silang mga freestanding clinics. You can also do subsidized annual employee trips. Ingat lang right now, medyo delikado pa ang traveling, but I think some of the tourist spots are now opening. Boracay is now open. I love traveling. I am a traveler and I advocate traveling because it broadens your horizons. But when you travel, you get to go to different places. You get to mingle with different people. And this improves your interpersonal skills. This also improves your understanding of the culture. Why people behave in this way and in this manner. Why people have that sense of courtesy. Bakit ba tinaguri ang City of Smiles ang ibang lugar at ang ibang syudad? Bakit tinaguri ang malalambing ang mga Ilonggo? Bakit pa tinaguri ang very cool yung mga taga Baguio? So, we get to understand the culture of people by traveling. Also, group insurance. When you do group insurance, this will ensure security of the employees and also protect our company from stress. Kasi kung may nangyari man, at least you are secured. You are covered by insurance. You can pull out something from the insurance. Regular health checkups, monthly birthday parties. We do our, yung ibang mga kumpanya ginagawa na birthday treats nila via virtual technologies. Yung cake din virtual. So yun lang. So virtual this December, I think we'll have a virtual Christmas party, virtual celebration of the Holy Mass. So lahat virtual na po. Uh, well, we have no choice because that will ensure the protection also of the workers and to avoid causing the pandemic to expand and to have a second wave or third wave at that. Accommodation, these are good for people. For the BPO sector, I think they accommodated their employees on a hotel or in a rented facility. Okay yon. If they need to protect their workers, importanteng magbigay tayo ng accommodation. For the health workers, I guess, they rented some facility para boarding house ng mga nurses, ng mga frontliners. Festival coupons, I think festival coupons is very appropriate before. Right now, medyo naglaylo dito. Employee parking lot, oh no. Parking lot is a stressful situation right now because of the uh, cost of the parking lot. Ang renta ata ng parking lot ngayon ay 5,000 or 4,000. So this affects the financial capability of also of the employees. At ito yung mga nakakos ng kanilang anxiety and it impacts their well-being. A scholarship also for their children, importante yon. I think aside from scholarships, we also give out loan programs for them to buy laptops or for them to uh, buy yung pads, iPads for their children who are doing homeschooling. Importante, importante po yun. Pensions. Uh, some few companies do still have their pensions, but kailangan pag-aralan natin yung ating scheme of retirement. Usually, most of the retirement right now are lump sum and hindi po ito lump sum, defined benefit, yung klase ng retirement, at solely uh, funded by the employer. I think we should start looking at parang uh, contribution yung ating retirement para magkaroon tayo ng pension. Uh, that is something that as HR practitioners, we should look at it dahil this will it's actually a retention strategy for for employers to retain their good employees in the organization. Labor and health insurance, yung mga naapektuhan ng pandemic, may they rest in peace. I hope that their employers have health insurance and have life insurance because this will also support their family members whom they have left in this earth. Employee cafeteria, well, because we don't want our employees to go out of the offices and engage with other people outside, maganda may employee cafeteria din tayo para hindi na sila lumalabas at nakakuha pa ng virus sa labasan. Next slide, please. So, I'm during the pandemic, I came up with this protocol. I call it ACTS protocol or ACTS. This is a first aid protocol for HR practitioners and mental health professional. Next slide, please. So, yung orange dito is managing employees' organizational well-being. At yung isa, when we talk about application of acts in terms of managing the employees' organizational well-being, letter A means act. Act on the issues and situations immediately. Napakadali pong tandaan ito and I hope it will be useful to you as well. Letter A, act. Act on the issues and situations immediately. Huwag po natin patagalin yung mga issues ng mga empleyado because this will impact their mental health and well-being. Second, communication. Communicate with them. And when we communicate with them, kumustahan lang. Para maintindihan nyo kung ano ba yung sitwasyon nila. Yung mga empleyado nyo na apektuhan ng Typhoon Ulysses, yung mga kaibigan ninyo, kumustahan lang. This will affect their organizational well-being in the organization. Also transform. We should transform the situation to a more positive and productive outlook. Given the situation, given the pandemic, given the anxiety, the trauma, the depressive state nung empleyado, we should be able to talk them out of the situation and bring them to a more positive and productive outlook in life and at work. Na at least may trabaho pa sila at yung sitwasyon ay maaayos din yan. I mean, this too we shall pass. And support, letter S, support your employees' needs. In these times of crisis, employees depend so much on their employer for support and assistance to their bosses. So, supportahan po natin. So, when we talk about ACTS or ACTS protocol in terms of organizational well-being, una, act on it, communicate, transform, and support. Yung pangalawa po is about mental health or mental well-being. The second ACTS or the second ACTS. Please, next slide please. So the ACTS, which is the first aid protocol for managing employees' well-being, letter A means assess. I-assess natin yung situation ng ating staff o ng empleyado o yung manggagawa. Ano ba ang kanyang in-exhibit na behaviors? By assessing them, we're trying to show care and compassion. Kaya nga, when we do work from home, uh, ask the staff, assess their situation. Are they having work from home fatigue? May tinatawag na kayong work from home fatigue. Hindi sila nakakalabas ng bahay. Are they having issues with their net or are they having issues with their work outputs? Then start to care, show care with your staff or co-workers and coach them. Kumustahin nyo sila kung paano, ano yung pwede nyo maitulong sa kanila. And when they're having some problems, let's transcend, letter T, to the rationality of reality. Yung mental health nila are affected because of a lot of negative thoughts in mind. A lot of negativistic thoughts are coming in at pinupuno yung kanilang kaisipan because of anxiety, because of depression, because of certain situations that they are facing with. Help them out, transcend to the reality, and help them out get out of this situation by supporting them. And lastly, self-care is the practice of preserving and protecting one's own well-being. Isipin din nila yung kanilang sarili. Isipin din nila yung kanilang pagkatao. Because at the end of the day, we should be concerned of ourselves. And we're the only one who can protect ourselves and who can sustain our mental sanity and our mental health and our mental well-being. Next. So yun po ang katapusan ng aking discussion about mental health and well-being. At the end of the day, importante, sabi nga po sa inyo, mental health talks about the quality of our thoughts. The quality of, we should be mindful of the things that we are thinking because this will impact the way we do things. And when we talk about well-being, it's the totality of the human being. The way they interact with other people, the way they think about things, their psychological, their relationships, their physical well-being. And at the end of the day, let's take care of ourselves, especially during this pandemic. It's only us who can make this happen. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig. And thank you, Rona, and to Uprosh for inviting me to talk about mental health and well-being.
Thank you, Jojo. Joy, lalagay muna kita sa backstage before we head to our Q&A. We just need to
Sure.
thank some sponsors. Thanks. Okay, ayan po. Yes, ang dami pong natuwa sa ating webinar for this afternoon, and I know marami talagang interested about how you can take care of your own mental health and the mental well-being of your employees. But before we head to that one, para sa mga nagre-request po, mabilisan po ito ha. Ito po yung first code. We'll display this for 10 seconds. First code. Okay? Ayan po, ayan ang ating first code and then mabilisan po, another 10 seconds po ulit. Ito naman po ang ating second code po. Okay? Basahin po maigi, kakailanganin nyo po yan pag kayo po ay nag-request ng inyo pong certificate. Ayan po. Okay. So, ang natitira na lang po natin ay isang code na lang po. So, abangan nyo po yan. Maya-maya, ipa-flash po namin. Now, for this particular episode, we're willing to show again the codes. Plus, but take note po, the succeeding episodes po natin, wala na pong replay ng codes. Okay? So, please make sure na talagang papanoorin nyo siya kasi yun naman talaga yung aim natin. Para naman, syempre, yung mga speakers natin, at talaga namang nakukuha nyo kung ano yung mga dinidiscuss nila. Dahil itong mga speakers na to are really good at what they're doing and they are really respected people in their line of business. Okay, but before that, we would just like to thank one of our sponsors, Move Up. So if you're looking for a way to engage your employees and get them to learn, if you're familiar with the concept of micro learning, Move Up is the application for you. Download it now on your phone, whether it's iOS or Android. Move Up has a version for that one. You can learn a lot about the different HR areas and you can get your certification from Move Up as long as mahit nyo po yung kanilang 80% dun sa kanilang exam. Okay, so please watch this video. Ayan po. Okay, reminders lang po sa karamihan po ng nanonood right now. Yung ating pong certificates would be available starting December 1. If you are going to request for your certificate, i-display po namin yung link mamaya po. Okay? So please make sure that you watch till the end kasi you need the 3 codes and then you have to answer one more question in order for you to get your certificate. This is to make sure that you really watched everything para naman po bilang pasasalamat din po dun sa ating mga speakers at para rin naman po meron naman talaga kayo natututunan during our webinar dahil yun naman po talaga yung aim natin for that. Make sure po that you fill it out correctly para hindi po tayo magkakaroon ng problema. You can only apply for it once. So make sure po na tama po yung nilalagay nyo po na information. If you haven't liked our page yet, please like it po. Okay, if you're a student or you're a fresh graduate, liking our page and tagging 3 of your friends in the comment section of our post on HR Bootcamp will give you 1 slot para po doon sa ating raffle for the discount po sa HR Bootcamp. Okay po? So please make sure po that you head to that one. Yung mga nagmamadali po, ito po yung link. Mabilisan po ito, 25 seconds, but i-display din po natin or ilalagay din po natin ito mamaya. You still don't have the third code, okay? Kailangan nyo po yung third code. So please make sure po na panoorin nyo pa din tayo, especially during the Q&A question dahil i-display po namin yung third code para po masagot nyo yung kailangan po para dun sa ating mga certificates. Okay? So bilisan po natin, scan na po natin kagad ito. Mamaya po ibibigay namin sa inyo at post natin doon sa event page yung code for this pero mamaya pa po yun. So para po doon sa mga nag-aabang ngayon, kuha na po ng phone, scan ang QR code para po makapunta na kayo doon sa form kung saan kayo po pwedeng mag-request ng inyong certificate of attendance, video, at copy po ng slides. Ayan po. Okay po. Nakuha na ba? Okay, do sa mga nagtatanong po, yes, Miss Alma, you can get a copy of the presentation by email starting December 1 po. So from December 1 onwards, isi-send na po namin sa inyo. Sa mga magtatanong po by next week, most likely wala pa po yan. December 1 pa po ang start. Yung last week po, November 20, nag-start na mag-send, which is yesterday. So the next, kung wala po kayo nakuha kahapon, most likely by Monday po, meron na yang makukuha. Okay? So ayan po, nakuha na po ba ang ating mga codes at ang aking sorry. Nakuha na po ba ang code para diyan? Ayan, so I would assume na okay na po tayo sa code. So, okay na po ba? Ayan. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ayan po. So mamaya po ilalagay po natin 'yan dun sa Facebook page po namin, sa event page po. Doon po kayo ulit po pwede pong mag-apply para po makuha niyo yung certificate. Makukuha niyo lang po yung certificate pag nasagot niyo po, nailagay niyo po yung 3 codes. Okay, 3 po yung codes plus nasagot niyo po yung isang question. Huwag po kayong mag-alala, yung sagot po dun sa question na yon, nandun po yun sa presentation kanina. Okay, so kung nakinig po kayo kay Jojo, makukuha niyo po yun. Yung kay Coach Jojo, makukuha niyo po yung sagot dun sa question na yon, dun po sa kanyang pinresent. Okay, so we would like to call back excuse me, Jojo, sumabit. We would like to call back Coach Jojo para po sa ating question and answer portion. Jo, nakamute ka ata.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Ayan.
Go.
Okay, so meron na po tayong mga questions po dito. Okay, first question po natin, medyo natabunan na siya pero kinopy-paste ko na lang siya. Ang tanong po niya is, how do we define stress? Ano ba ang tamang interpretation or tamang definition ng stress?
Well, simple naman yan. Maraming definition ng stress. Pero stress means tension. Kapag may tension sa atin in terms of dealing with a particular work item, kapag meron tayong isang taong nagkukos ng tension o struggle sa atin, yun ang stress. So may stress na kapag may tension. Uh, Other than the definition of stress ay tingnan natin ano nga ba ang nabubunga ng stress sa atin. Kapag nakakaroon tayo ng struggle, nakakaroon tayo ng emotional disturbances, kapag hindi tayo nakakatulog, hindi tayo nakakain na maayos, or bigla tayong nabibigla kapag may biglang pinapagawa sa atin at takot na takot tayo kung minsan pag nakita natin yung tao na kukos na stress natin, ang point doon ay meron tayong nakakaroon tayo ng emotional, physical, negative reaction. And that is brought by the tension that we felt, brought about by the tension that we think, brought about by the physical behaviors that is causing those reactions outwardly. So, ganun naman yung stress. The point is, paano ba natin i-resolve yung stress? So, simple lang naman yan. We have to separate things in our mind. Kasi stress is a production of our mind as well. So, gawa natin ng paraan like setting aside yung mga bagay-bagay and think of positive thoughts. Because if we think of positive thoughts, meaning changing our framework, changing our references. So, kunyari, nandyan na yung boss mo, tapos yung boss mo ang nagkukos ng stress mo, isipin mo na yung stress, yung boss mo will give you good news. Reframe our thoughts. Kasi dahil nga iniisip mo yung boss mo will cause you stress, negative na kaagad. Think of positive thoughts muna para ma-reframe mo yung mind mo at kapag lumapit niyo yung boss mo sa'yo, hindi ka natatakot, hindi ka nagkakaroon ng anxiety, hindi ka nabibigla. So it's a matter of reframing our mindsets, reframing our perspectives that will enable us to work on our stress. Stress management techniques yung mga ganon. Tapos, simple lang yan as a breathing, one of the exercises, breathing exercise. Breathe in, breathe out. Kapag nagawa mo yan, you will resolve also your stress issues. At mawawala yung vocabulary mo ng stress.
And
Yun
I
lang.
think dapat din nating tandaan kasi sometimes nai-stress tayo because we start coming up with situations in our head kahit na hindi naman yun yung maaaring mangyari or hindi wala naman siyang talagang basis. Pero since we're coming up with all of these situations, nagiging anxious tayo, nagiging stressed out tayo. So we have to be conscious about that and stop ourselves. Keep ourselves in check when we start doing that. Kasi hindi pa natin alam kung ano yung mangyayari eh. If inuunahan na natin yung sarili natin, we would be stressed out to the point na nababurn out na tayo. Tapos yun pa naman pala is we're stressing out over something that's so insignificant. So we really have to also be mindful, conscious about the way we think. Tama nga yung sabi ni Jojo na yung kung paano tayo nag-iisip, we have to change that and we have to be conscious about that. Ayan. Next question po. Okay, medyo marami-rami ang pumapasok na
Mm-hmm.
question. Have you encountered a case wherein an employee filed a complaint against coworkers who are bullies? What can we do to solve cases of bullying in the workplace?
Uh, Fortunately, in my case, wala pang empleyadong nag-file ng case of bullying. Despite us having a policy on anti-bullying, and despite our programs on awareness on bullying. Kasi maraming iba't ibang klase ng bullying. Yung iba, verbal bullying, at karamihan dito puro verbal bullying, at yung iba, physical bullying. But you know, kadalasan in most organizations, verbal bullying yan eh. At yung verbal bullying, sometimes insensitive, it's a result of our insensitivity to our co-workers. Kumbaga, sa ating practical language, pinagkakaisahan nyo ako. Parang ganon. So pag sinabi pinagkakaisahan ako, that's an act of bullying. Wala pa naman ako na-encounter, but if in case may ma-encounter kami, we have a policy that sanction this type of cases. Aside from the sanction, and because that's an administrative case, kailangan isipin din natin yung how do we ensure that bullying is kumbaga prevented in the organization, and simply lang, create awareness. When we create awareness about bullying, what are the forms of bullying, and what are the sanctions if bullying is done in the office or at the workplace, then we're doing prevention. Take note, information awareness is power. Kung alam ng mga tao kung ano yung mangyayari sa kanila, iiwasan nila yon. Pero kung wala tayong information awareness about bullying, well, gagawin nila yon. Aside from the fact that when we do information awareness, we change their paradigms. I'm always looking at I am also an educator, so I'm always looking at the perspective na information is power. If we create awareness to our employees about bullying and what are the impact of this in terms of the other person's emotional, psychological, mental health and well-being, then iiwasan nila iyon. Kasi alam nila kung ano yung maging epekto nito doon sa ibang tao na ginawa na binubuli nila. Because at a certain point in time, maaring sila din i-bully at maramdaman din nila yung mga impacts na yun. Yun lang yung aking simple tips at the workplace.
Okay, I agree with Jojo on that one. You should have a policy in place and you should communicate this with the employees. Okay? But for the owners, for the top management, be conscious also of the culture that you are perpetuating in your organization. In one of the webinars I have attended, sabi nga nung speaker, okay? Culture is not something that you hand down. Okay? Culture is also those behaviors that you do not speak of. Hindi nyo binabanggit, hindi nyo kinokontra, hindi nyo sinasabing mali. When you do that, when you do not say anything about a behavior that should have been corrected, you are actually perpetuating that behavior. And when it comes to bullying, if you do not address it, nabanggit din ito ni Jojo kanina na you should act fast. If you do not address it agad, okay, it would seem and it would look like that you are allowing it, you are perpetuating the practice. So for those who are in top management, for people in HR, keep those things in mind kasi it will help you in addressing bullying. Ayan. Sabi ni Dean, is there a legal penalty or sanction to the office or organization of the employee if it happens that the employee felt abused and it already affected the mental aspect of the employee? Since meron na tayong mental health act, meron daw po bang legal penalty or sanction for that?
Actually, meron. Merong legal penalty, kasama na rin yung penalty na binibigay ni Department of Labor in terms of the kapag wala kang mga programa. So, technically, si Department of Labor, in-include na ito sa kanila inspection checklist. If you are familiar with the inspection checklist, yung mga taga-HR dito na nakikinig, di ba meron mga surprise inspection si Department of Labor. Kasama na po doon sa checklist na yon yung mga list down ng mga policies, yung mental health programs ninyo. Kung wala kayo noon, bibigyan yung kumpanya ng notice of violation. So, yun po yung isa sa mga penalty. Kapag hindi na correct yun ng kumpanya at wala siyang programa, well, it's not a hard and fast rule. Pero bibigyan yung kumpanya ng time to come up with their programs. At yes. Kapag walang na-provide pa rin yung kumpanya na proof that they have come up with their programs, mental health programs and policies, this will result, the worst is maaaring may notice of violation, sometimes closure yung nandoon sa kanilang mga penalties. But, given the situation, there is no hard and fast rule. At the end of the day, napag-uusapan naman yan. In terms of the Republic Act, yung mga violations kasi doon sa Republic Act 11036 ay iba-iba. And these are violations in terms of practices ng mga psychologists. Kunyari, required yung mga organizations to have a psychologist. Pero yung psychologist na yon, it may be in the form of partnerships with an institution. It may be in partnerships with a practitioner. So, kung may referral system sila, katulad din dito yung pag-include nito sa kanilang health insurance programs. So, ibig sabihin, compliant sila. But most of the penalties under the Republic Act are those practicing psychologists and psychometricians, practicing professionals. So, yung mga sa organizations, these are regulated by the Department of Labor and Employment because ang nag-oversee ng mga kumpanya ay ang Department of Labor and Employment.
When it comes to the Republic Act, everyone has to be aware that in one of the practices na inaano nila, pinipenalize nila is discrimination against those with mental health problems. So that's one of the important things that you have to keep in mind. Meron po yung penalty plus meron po yung imprisonment. Okay? That's part of the Mental Health Act. So yung pag discriminate po do sa mga merong challenges or mga merong may mental health issues, yan po ay pwede po kayong ma-penalize po diyan. Tapos, sa organization naman po, if there is bullying coming from a person of authority, pwede po ito actually makita as constructive dismissal, lalo na po kung ito ay nanggagaling sa immediate head. Okay? So if the environment is so much that the person can no longer work at siya po ay nabubuli talaga, maaari po itong maging basis for constructive dismissal case. Pwede rin po siyang mag-immediate resignation pag nagkakaroon na po ng serious injury doon sa tao. So tandaan din po natin yung part na yan. Okay po?
If I can remember, Rona, last time, alam ko, ang penalty ay reclusion, parang 100,000 ata yung
Oo, parang,
penalty. Nung
yeah.
ganon, when I conducted one sessions about the Republic Act 11036. So, ganon yung penalty niya. Discrimination niya in terms of, but actually, aside from the discrimination, Rona, it also kasi encompasses the Data Privacy Act, Republic Act of 2012. Kasi yung kapag nagkaroon ng cases at naibulgar iyon, kasi syempre, saraya mga Pinoy, pinagkikismisan o sinabi, ay si ganito pala, ay may ganito, ano siya, may case siya, or sasabihin mo yung tao na, ay medyo may, yung terminology kasi natin, sanay tayo na, ay kulang pala yung tornilyo noon o maluwag ang tornilyo. Bawal na po yun ngayon. Hindi na po kasi that is considered harassment, that is considered discrimination. And kapag yung empleyado na yon ay nag-file ng case sa Department of Labor, yung HR ay mananagot. So HR, please be wary on this and be cautious of also of the words that we are using.
Okay, tanong po ni Miss Farida, what if mismong HR ang stressor and toxic? And we raise issues, he might take it against us, causing vindictive effect against us employees. Rumeres back. Paano daw po ba ito?
It's a very good question. What if HR mismo ang nagkakos ng stress? Sad to say, I am an HR practitioner. Sad to say, meron nga mga ganon in the practice. What is your ang question is, let me reframe the question. What can you do to the HR? Pwede nyo ba resbakan yung HR? Una, hindi din. Hindi na nyo pwede resbakan yung HR because I'm not promoting a culture and attitude of resbakan dito. Ang kailangan ay mapag-usapan yung mga bagay-bagay. So if you feel that your HR is becoming toxic and stressor, let them know about it. I think, sabi ko nga kanina sa aking topic, it's communication is the key to maintain a positive working environment. Kausapin nyo kasi di naman lahat HR yun, for sure. May mga specific na tao lang doon. Kausapin nyo yung nakakataas sa kanila. Kung yung HR manager na mismo yung nakakataas at siya yung nakakos ng stress, then talk to the boss of the manager. And bring into the table yung mga issues para mapag-usapan. The way to deal with it is conversation. The way to deal with it is talking about the issue so that the issue can be resolved. Sinasabi nyo dito kasi mag-ari maging vindictive. Yun nga. Kaya nga, gagawin niyo is talk to the boss of the boss who is causing the stress. So that meron kayong third-party mediator in the situation. And sabi nga ni Rona kanina, it's kung yung boss ng boss is the leadership will now bring into focus the culture that they wanted to perpetuate in the organization. Do they want an organization that condones this kind of attitude and that condones this type of behaviors? Then that will perpetuate in the organization, and that will not bring about peace, and that will not bring about productivity and a positive workplace environment. Yun yung sa akin. I mean, it's a very practical approach towards the situation. Do you have something, Ron?
Actually, I agree with you 100% na 'pag ganyan talaga ang kasagutan lang diyan is more on conversation. I think it's one of the skills that we as Filipinos have to develop kasi tayo mahiyain tayo pagdating sa confrontation.
Mm-mm.
We try to shy away from confrontation, but the thing is there are some things that we really have to bring out into the open, and we really have to start the conversation and start the communication process if things are not going the way that we expected it to go. Kasi ang nangyayari sa atin is nagkakaroon na kagad tayo ng mindset na kasi baka rest back na ako without us being sure kung magkakaroon nga ng pag-rest back. Kung magkaroon man ng pag-rest back, hindi dapat na natin problema yon. That's the problem of the boss of whoever is nireklamo nyo. So we have to bring this into the open. We have to communicate this. We have to start the conversation on this in order for it to be resolved. But we also have to go into it with an open mind na hindi dahil nagreklamo tayo may mangyayari. Kasi what we are seeing is also just one part of the story. And what the other party is seeing is another part of the story. We need the communication in order for everyone to see both sides of the story. That's what the communication is all about. Hindi para mapagalitan kagad or ma-penalize kagad o kung ano pa man. Sometimes yun yung gusto natin na dapat ma-penalize siya kasi ayoko nung ginawa niya. Sometimes yun yung aim kagad natin. But sometimes hindi lang talaga natin naiintindihan yung situation or meron lang gap sa communication or meron lang misunderstanding. So we also have to make sure that we go into the communication process, go into the conversation with an open mind. Ayan. Okay, so we
Kasi
have an yes,
ano kasi
sorry, go
tayo,
ahead.
nasanay tayo. We were wired from our childhood days not to talk about it. So
Oo.
naging matiisin tayo. And because of that wiring, pagdating sa nadadala natin, kahit sa school, kasi may teacher, stop talking. So, lahat tayo na wire na gano'n is stop talking. So, huwag kayo maingay, huwag kayong pag-usapan yung mga yan. So, gano'n, naging matiisin yung mga tao. But at this point in time, importante kasi Rons na uh, yung mga bagay-bagay mapag-usapan na. Kasi dahil kung tinatago, hindi na pag-uusapan at hindi binibigyan ng solusyon, wala nangyayari. So, dahil yung isang tao lang yung sitwasyon na ngayon, dalawang tao na, apat na tao, so yung behaviors is strengthened and it becomes a culture in the organization. And we don't want that as a culture of the organization.
Correct. Ayan. So Miss Diana has a question, how to remove the stigma of talking about mental health in the workplace po, especially as an HR practitioner. Kasi tulad nga ng sabi mo kanina Jojo, 'di ba? Nandun pa rin tayo sa phase na pag-uusapan is mental health ang iniisip kagad is kulang sa tornilyo, aning-aning kausap. So how do we remove that stigma?
Yung goal ng mga batas natin sa ngayon at lahat ng is primarily to avoid the stigma of against mental health issues. So, how do we prevent stigma, especially pag nag-uusap-usap? Importante, number one, education, awareness. Uh, the more aware the people are about mental health, the better they are equipped in understanding mental health issues, and the better that they will understand ano yung mga bawal at ano yung pwedeng gawin. Uh, Stigma is because people don't know anything about it. It's a issue of lack of information. is an issue of ignorance. Kaya nagkakaroon ng stigma. Ibig sabihin, dahil maraming tao ang walang kaalaman about mental health issues, actually sa Pilipinas naging kultura yun eh. Dahil hindi naman, dati wala naman tayong patas about mental health.
Mm.
Ang alam na natin, mental health hospital. Pag sinabi natin, oh, taga Mandaluyong sa loob o sa labas. I mean, before these are good jokes, but now these are bad jokes. Because we are creating a community that is fully aware about mental health and mental health issues. And by giving them information, awareness, by equipping them with the right tool and knowledge, then stigma will be removed, will be reduced significantly. Hindi, kaya nga I'm not saying na basta-basta mawawala. Remember, magmula nung bata tayo hanggang sa pagtanda natin, ganon yung tinuro sa atin.
Mm.
But since matatanda na tayo, alam mo, yung yung ating nakasanayan mahirap mawala.
Oo. Correct.
Pero it is also an opportunity for us to learn and to unlearn and relearn. And relearning something takes some time. So let's also be patient with these people. But we do our part. And our part is to create awareness, to create information, to create an advocacy about mental health, about mental health issues, and how to cope up with mental health issues. Yun yun. Kaya yung batas natin, ang pinakaunang requirement niya ay awareness campaign of all
Correct.
organizations, of all companies in the Philippines. Because sinasabi nga niya, actually yun yung nasa ano niya, nandoon sa kanyang whereas. Kasi nga kung maayos yung mga yung rationale of the law, kung alam ng mga tao yung mental health, what are the mental health issues, what are the symptoms, then mawawala yung stigma sa lahat ng organizations, kumpanya, or whatever form of uh, groups or teams.
Yes, I agree. Ayan. Okay, next question po natin from Sir Rex Abenoja. When work occurs several times in my dreams, is this considered mental illness? Napapanaginipan na niya yung trabaho niya. Mental illness na daw po ba ito?
Stress ka,
Stress,
sir.
stress daw. Stress
uh,
ka na.
uh, kung minsan sinasabi ko yan, my work is getting to my nerves that I even dream of what to do and what I'm going to do or what happened. It's getting to your nerves. Ibig sabihin, it already affects your mental health. Hindi naman siya, linawin ko lang ha, iba ang, when you talk about mental health, iba yung sakit na illness na sinatawag natin. At iba yung mental health issues or sinasabi na yun yung tinatawag, may technical term kami doon sa mental health issues na yon. Pag sinabi natin mental illness, these are the worst situations. Yung mental health, ito yung mga mental illness or mental disorders. Pero kung mental health issues pala, ito yung mga hindi pa naman depressing stage. Ibig sabihin, manageable stage pa lang siya. Or mild stage pa lang ng situation. Yung na-encounter mo, sir, hindi pa mental illness yan or mental disorder. Yan pa lang ay nasa mild stage ka pa lang ng mental health issues. At madali namang mabigyan ng solusyon iyan by making sure that yung iyong nagkakaroon ka ng mindful, take note the terminology is mindful or conscious separation of your work and your personal life or your life. Maaring kasi naka-work from home ka, kaya Pag nasa bahay ka, yung iniisip mo, puro ng trabaho, ng trabaho, ng trabaho. Kailangan i-manage, dito pumapasok yung issue natin ng work-life balance. You have to have work-life balance. And consciously kapag nag-stop na yung oras mo ng work, stop ka na rin thinking about work and consciously or mindfully thinking about doing your other stuff, personal stuff like watching TV. Kailangan mo kasing gawin yun, sir. Kailangan mong i- i- i-change yung iyong framework to other things para yung focus mo ma-devolve outside from your work. At hindi mo isipin hanggang sa pagtulog mo. Take note, when we sleep, yung mga taong lagi na natin sinasabi, yung ibang tao kung matutulog sila, ang bilis sila makatulog. Yung ibang mga tao, ang tagal makatulog dahil our minds are still processing a lot of things when we sleep. How do we do it na we should maintain sound sleep? Kailangan gawin natin, i-devolve natin yung i-devolve natin yung ating kaisipan, i-devolve natin yung ating minds with a lot of things para makatulog tayo ng maayos at wala tayong isipin about work. Meaning, mindful and conscious. Ngayon, kunya si Sir Rex, maaring ginagawa mo yan, before ka matulog, nagtatrabaho ka pa. Pagtulog mo, doon sa work na ginagawa mo, stressful yon. Meron ka hindi pa natapos, isipin mo yon hanggang makatulog ka.
Nagpa-process ng payroll hanggang sa pagtulog.
Oo, totoo yan. Totoo yan. Kaya dapat mag-set ka ng time at least an hour before you sleep, wala ka nang ginagawang work. Kailangan nanonood ka na lang ng TV. Alam mo, you have to relax your mind already para hindi mo yon isipin sa pagtulog mo. Simple tips in Sir Rex, but it works. I myself do that personally. I am an HR executive, so ang dami kong problemang hinahawakan. But I make sure na before ako matulog, nare-relax ko na yung aking isipan by watching yung hindi ka nag-iisip na TV na pinapanood, yung tatawa ka na lang, or yung mga, kaya nga may sa mga fantasy kasi hindi ko na imagine yung mga bagay-bagay, yung mga pinapanood ko. As in, hindi kailangan ng critical thinking skills ko. Ibig sabihin, panudol ako for aesthetic purposes, for effects ng kanilang cinematography, yun lang. Because that relaxes my mind before I go to bed. Ganun din po ang gawin mo, Mr. Rex, para hindi umaabot yung iyong stress sa iyong pagtulog. But you have to manage already your stress. It's not already good for you. How do you do it? Make sure that when you have something to do at work, at may mga timelines ka, tapusin mo sa timelines mo. And do it before you sleep. And set aside a time, at least an hour before you sleep, para ma-relax mo yung mind mo. Yun lang, sir.
Ako naman, doon sa side naman ng mga employers, kasi actually naging practice ko ito. And then I attended one webinar wherein I discussed na it's also not a good practice. Sometimes, your boss will tell you, okay, close ka na ng email mo by 5 p.m. kasi tapos na yung shift mo. But they will send an email after 5 p.m. It's also not a good practice kasi now you're actually starting to make your team member feel na they still need to check their emails after the 5 p.m. because baka meron kang emergency or meron kang emails na papasok. So it's also not a good practice. Ikaw as a boss, if it's 5 p.m., stop mo na rin yung email mo. Okay? And take care also of your mental well-being. Kasi if you're still also doing work after that, you're also burning yourself out, and your burning out might affect your team members. So you also need to manage your tasks, your time. Okay na, pakinggan ko yan doon sa isang webinar na inattendan.
Mahirap kasi yung mga boss, given this situation, talagang, even me personally, yung mga nakaka-receive ng ganung mga emails. And my email is connected with my phone. So wherever I go, kahit nasa beach ako, nakaka-check ako ng email. Kaya sometimes, I mindfully set aside my phone away from me. Kahit sa pagtulog, huwag mo ilagay sa uluhan mo yung phone. Kasi you will be bothered by the kasi mahilig tayong maggugutingting eh. So, to a point
Oo.
na pati yung emails natin, bubuksan natin. And I'm guilty of that, Sir Rex. You're not alone. I'm guilty of that. Kaya nga, mindful management of ourselves. At the end of the day, self-care. Tandaan nyo, sinabi ko, at the end of the day, it is us who is responsible for our mental health and well-being. So we should ensure self-care also in managing our mental health. Next
Ayan. Sabi ni
question, Rons.
Miss Emma, since the quality of our thoughts has a great impact on the way we do things, what for you is the best way to counteract negative thoughts when they start to bombard our minds? Nabe-burn out
Uh,
na siya kasi ano na naiisip niya.
Oo, totoo yun. Kaya kung anxious kayo sa mga bagay-bagay, nagpa-panic mode kayo, panic attack, ano yan, negative thoughts, ay baka, ay paano kaya baka hindi matapos yung gagawin ko, ay paano kaya pag hindi maganda ang presentation ko, paano kaya pag hindi maganda yung feedback ng boss ko sa output ko. Lahat ng negative thoughts papasok. But take note, yung sinabi nga ni Rona din kanina, these are a products of our minds. And and this is not reality at all. We create our own realities. Kaya kami mga psychologists, what we're using is behavior therapy. But when we do behavior therapy, the idea is to change the thoughts. Ang question dito ay how to counteract. Hindi naman ikakaila i-counteract kasi isang thoughts lang yan. We only have one mind. We only have one brain. So hindi ganun yon. The idea is to shift our thinking patterns. Kasi kaya nag-isip tayo ng mga negative thoughts because we are so focused on what we are currently doing. Pag i-shift natin yung ating iniisip like kanina kay Sir Rex kanina, iniisip niya work, work, work. Tapos bigla na lang niyang i-shift into panonood ng comedy, movie, or fantaserye na wala siya masyado iniisip, then that's one way or technique in trying to negate the negative thoughts away from our mind. Also, second, you know, these negative thoughts are a product of our may physical explanation yan, yung breathing natin, masyadong bumibilis, yung breathing natin, yung heartbeat natin mabilis din, yung ating so yung impulses ng bloodstream going to the brain and oxygen, ganun yung reaction niya, kaya tayo nagiging yung mga impulses, ganun yung reaction, kaya tayo pinapawisan. Yun yung mga technique ng mga ang tawag dito. I would like to call them practices of the Chinese and of the Buddhism. Yung mga
Mm-mm.
practices din nila, relaxing technique. Relax. Breathing exercise. Para
Yes.
ma-relax yung kanilang mind, ma-relax yung kanilang sarili, katawan nila, the physical well-being will be relaxed. And if the physical well-being is relaxed, the mental well-being is relaxed. So, yung breathing exercise and yung yoga, this will help in relaxing ourselves, because kapag na-relax tayo, we'll be able to think better. We'll be able to think positive things. At hindi natin iisipin yung mga negative things. At makapag-isip tayo ng mas tama, mas maayos, at mas applicable sa realidad. Negative things, thinking about the future, are all expectations of something na hindi pa nangyayari at mangyayari. Because our reality is our own creation. Take note. Our reality is all our own creation. Let's not make that reality of negative things. Let's create a positive reality. to have a positive situation.
Yes. Ako suggestion ko sa'yo, MI, ask yourself these things. Number one, is this something that I can control? Okay, so if this is something that I can control, ano yung pwede kong gawin para makontrol siya? Okay, if it's something that I can address, anong pwede kong gawin para ma-address siya? If it's not something that I can address or wala akong control, okay, or wala siyang solusyon, then I should not worry about it and just let it be. Kasi kahit na anong gawin ko, wala akong magagawa. Okay? So, tingnan mo muna, kaya ko bang kontrolin to? Kaya ko bang solusyonan? May sagot ba dito? Kasi kung wala, kailangan kong mag-relax. Kailangan kong tigilan ng kakaisip at kailangan kong hayaan yung oras, yung time na lumipas para ma-address siya. But if it's something that I have a solution for it, then resolve natin kagad. Okay? Sabi nga, di ba kanina, act fast. Okay? Para hindi ka, kasi usually yung worries natin, nanggagaling siya dun sa, hala, paano na, anong gagawin ko, anong gagawin ko. If meron kang pwedeng gawin, gawin mo na. If wala kang po pwedeng gawin, then leave it. Okay? Kasi wala sa'yo yung kasagutan, nasa ibang tao, nasa ibang sitwasyon, nasa ibang lugar. Okay? Para hindi ka rin naman masyado nai-stress. Sabi ni Ellen, paano po pag HR ay stressed out at sabog na din po? Tinatago lang sa tao para mapakitang strong sila at lahat ay kaya. Talent po ba yun? Actually, parang oo. Skill na ng mga HR yan. Na,
Well, wala tayong I mean, tama lang naman kasi, uh, during this time, HR is an anchor of the employees. Kapag si HR nagpakita ng kahinaan during this time, being the anchor, kasi lahat tayo nakatingin sa HR, di ba? O ano bang sabi ng HR? Ano bang decision ng HR dyan? Ano ang kanilang advice ng HR? Ano bang notice ng HR? So si HR are maintaining the sanity of the organization as well. Yun yun. Kaya, I mean, let's support the HR in those endeavors, and I would say competency set. HR are one of the competency sets of HR is to manage crisis in the organization. At ganun, they are trained, they were trained to manage crisis in the organization. Kasi sila yung go-to department at go-to person ng mga empleyado sa kumpanya. Now, it's a talent, it's a skill, it's a competency, whatever you want to call it. Importante lang doon, HR must be able to come up with a solution for the employees. And sometimes if they do not have a solution, you have to convey the message. You have to communicate the information. Kasi kung sometimes kasi si HR tinatago niya, hindi nagsasabi lang doon sa empleyado, it creates more problems. We don't want to do that. We don't want to give false hopes to employees. We don't want also to create a culture of distrust later on kapag hindi naman patutuo yung sinabi ng HR. Kaya nga, ang aking suggestion lang dyan ay communicate. Convey the
correct.
message.
Correct.
Tell them, lay down the realities to the employees. But since as HR practitioner, we are trained to come up with a good communication spill out the reality, the truth, and make sure that the truth may hurt, it's still the truth, and that's the reality of the situation. For example, when some companies like Cebu Pacific, when they have to let go of their employees, what did they do? They come up with a general assembly with their employees. This is the situation of the company. This is a financial situation. We cannot afford anymore to pay off the salaries of the workers, and that we have to reduce our number of workers. So it's a reality that we have to bite. So totoo yun. So we have to release we have to release the people. Uh, and and the idea there is to be communicated with the employees. They
Mm-hmm.
even publish this to everyone, para to even their social media. And I know it pains them because they have invested and trained these people. So like most organizations, ganun din naman yon. The idea is if you are an HR practitioner involved in this type of issues, communicate to your employees, tell the truth to your employees, and make sure that the employees understood them. And if your employees have other concerns, let them have that space to talk it with you and clarify these concerns with you.
Mm. And ako kasi once I am a believer that once you have opened the gates of communication with everyone, if you have an open door policy when it comes to communication right from the start, it actually allows your team members, your employees to be empowered. So whenever they see something that they are not comfortable with, they would be the one to bring the problem to you in an objective manner. Kasi alam nila na you have an open door policy and that you are willing to listen, not necessarily follow whatever it is that they would want to happen, but at least you're open to listen and you're open to working out something that would benefit both parties. Once you have inculcated that kind of culture and belief in the employees, magiging empowered sila at magiging kapartner nyo sila in growing the company and in ensuring that you don't have discrimination, you don't have bullying, you don't have these things. Pero tulad nga nung sinabi natin kanina, binanggit din ni Jojo kanina na it will take time. Kasi sanay tayo dun sa ano eh. Actually, sanay tayo dun sa hindi nagko-confront. Sanay tayo na sasabihin natin sa katabi natin na ano ba yan, nakakainis naman. Pero hindi natin sasabihin dun sa taong involved mismo na they are doing something that we are not comfortable with. Sasabihin natin sa iba, pero not to the person. And we need to change that. It will not happen overnight. But, again, awareness, pag na-try natin na maging aware yung mga tao sa paligid natin, then we can slowly but surely make the change that we want to happen. Ayan. I think nasagot na natin lahat ng questions. Kung meron man po ako naskipan na question, pagpasensyahan nyo na po kasi medyo mabilis po yung takbo ng aming comment section right now dito sa StreamYard. Pero maraming maraming salamat po actually do sa mga umattend po ngayon ako, Jojo. Alam kong overtime
Thank
na.
you. Okay lang
Pero
naman, okay lang. I'm good.
super thank you talaga for sharing your knowledge with us and sharing your expertise with us, especially in the area of mental health and mental well-being. We would also like to thank everyone who stayed with us right from the start and who really shared their thoughts at yung talagang mga nag-send in ng kanilang mga questions. Maraming maraming salamat po. For those who are asking, yung link daw po para doon sa certificate, dalagay po namin yan sa event page mamaya. So kung hindi nyo po na-scan yung code, mamaya po antayin nyo po yan doon sa page po namin, ilalagay po namin yan doon. Okay po, so ayan po. So isa na naman pong Saturday at isa na naman pong free webinar ang natapos po ngayong araw na ito. Next week po, meron na naman po tayong isa na naman pong topic na napakaganda pero next week ko na yan. Next week na surprise na lang yan. Makikita nyo na lang po dun sa page namin. Again, we would like to invite everyone to our upcoming webinar on basics of employee engagement. May kinalaman din po yan sa mental well-being. Yung sinasabi ni Jojo kanina na before you go to sleep, dapat medyo iniiba mo na yung mindset mo. Si employee engagement, meron din po dyan ang explanation dyan kung bakit ang ating mga engagement programs ay usually nangyayari pag Friday. Okay, so lahat po yan i-discuss po natin when we do the basics of employee engagement and we hope you can be part of that webinar. Pero sa ngayon po, maraming maraming salamat po sa pag-attend ng ating webinar. We hope you have a great weekend. Take care of your health, take care of your mind, and kaya natin to. Tayo pa, HR tayo. Bye everyone and thank you again very
Thank you
much.
so
Bye-bye.
much, everyone. Thank you.
Ay, Jo, sorry nakalimutan ko. Do you have anything to promote? You're working with Gray Matters and they're a
Ah,
psychological company.
yes, I thank you so much, Rona. For those organizations who need help for psychological intervention or who needs to partner with an organization for mental health, my organization, Gray Matters Psychological and Consultancy Inc., is ready to help you out. just we have a Facebook, we have an Instagram. You can get in touch with Gray Matters Psychological and Consultancy Inc. We also do a psychological assessment and career center. Meron po si Gray Matters ng ganung services. Get in touch with our admin staff. We have licensed psychologists, licensed counselors, and licensed psychometrician to assist you for your organizational needs. Yun lamang, Rona, and maraming maraming salamat sa pag-invite sa akin. Hope to see you soon and hope to work with you soon as well. If you need help and assistance, I'm always willing. Also, please follow me in my LinkedIn for some leadership and coaching tips because I'm right now, as you know, aside from HR and aside from being a psychologist, I'm also doing life coaching and executive coaching. Maraming maraming salamat, Rona.
Okay, salamat po and goodbye everyone!
Thank you.